Hello, you beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of The Soulful Self. This week, I am starting a series all about the chakras that I will be completing over the next 7 weeks. So this week, you actually kind of get a bonus episode because this episode, I'm going to do an overview of what the chakras are, where they come from, why I think they're so important to our overall well-being. And then I will also do an episode on the root chakra, which is the first one, and then the next following 6 weeks I will dive into the other 6 chakras. So stay tuned for that as we go on this journey together. I'm really excited to share this with you guys. I have a previous episode about chakras from when I first started this podcast, but I just find them to be so important, and I think I have even more to say about them, as that episode was 40 minutes long and talked about all 7. So this one I want to go in depth into each chakra as a series, and hopefully I can help you guys on your healing journeys and self-discovery journeys and help you to be more in alignment and understand maybe where certain symptoms and things that we have come from, because I really believe that the chakras can be such a map to our bodies, minds, souls, energy, where we are holding on to emotions, trauma, things like that, and how it shows up as physical illness, mental blocks, things like that. So we'll go into depth of all of these chakras so that we can pinpoint easier where things are coming from or what we are maybe struggling with to help us. So I believe that the chakras are a very important part of spirituality and deepening the understanding of energy, how it flows, and how everything is so interconnected. So what are the chakras? The chakras are energy centers throughout the body. The chakra systems come from India and dates back to between 1500 and 500 BC in their oldest texts called the Vedas. So they are even more ancient than the Bible. These chakras have been taught in Indian culture and history since about 1500 to 500 years before Jesus. So that's pretty cool. I think that there is so much wisdom in this ancient understanding of energy and the body. So in Sanskrit, which is the language where it comes from, the word chakra translates to wheel, and they are thought to be spinning discs of energy within our bodies. It's important that these discs stay open and aligned, as they all correspond to parts of our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. There are actually thousands of chakras in the body, which are used in the ancient Chinese medicine practice of acupuncture, which is still used today, but it is part of an ancient Chinese medicine. However, there are 7 main chakras that run from the base of our spine to the top of our head, and these ones are the ones that we're going to be diving into over the next few weeks together. So the 7 are root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus chakra, heart chakra, throat chakra, third eye chakra, and crown chakra. I believe that the true magic that comes from our chakras is the ability that it can give us to pinpoint blockages in our energy and show us how we can heal in order to restore the balance and flow of our energy within our bodies. This is such a helpful tool because taking care of ourselves is a lifelong journey, and there's always new seasons, new challenges, new places for growth in our life. As we grow, what needs to grow will change, and it's important to have this knowledge and understanding so that it's not just dealing with whatever you're struggling with in this moment, but to help you navigate as you struggle with different things throughout your life. And whatever it is that comes your way, you can feel more confident that you can help yourself or know what kind of help you maybe need to seek out from others as well. So we will get into all that, I promise. I also find correlation between physical pain and ailments and the mental, emotional, and spiritual parts that come with it as well within your energy. So say you have an issue with your left leg. well, what if that wasn't just a coincidence? What if that was something that we could pinpoint and heal, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, because it can be attached to a trauma to do with safety and security and family and roots and things like that. So when you dive deeper into where is the pain and why is it keep coming up for me, maybe there's an underlying issue that's not just I hurt my left knee and it bugs me, every once in a while. Well, what if every once in a while when it bugs you, it's actually because you had just gotten in a fight with your mom, or you're feeling lack of funds, or whatever that might be. I don't know the exact spot for every place and where those things all correlate to, but I hope one day within my career I would love to create like a map of the human body to be able to pinpoint what traumas lie where in the body and to help us deeper understand ourselves and where all that comes from, because I think our bodies are so intelligent and that mind, body, heart, and soul connection is so powerful. Everything is so interconnected and they all rely on each other one way or another. So again, this knowledge is just so powerful, and I think it can really help us on our journeys of self-healing because knowledge is power, and this understanding is so ancient that I just believe that there has to be so much truth behind it if it's lasted this many thousands of years in human history, and who knows, even longer. Like, that was just the first time that it was written down that they have proof of, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't generations before that practiced this and it was just taught orally, or we will never know. We are energetic beings, and our bodies are made up of energetic systems, which I like to call the chakras. So once we dive into each of them in depth, I hope you will be just as fascinated with this as I am, and I hope that you can find some wisdom to help yourself pinpoint maybe some issues that you've been having. And I think that it's really cool because this is what we use in Reiki. This is what has to do with layers of your aura. It's taught in yoga. It's taught in all these different healing modalities and is used in different cultures across the world and is just respected in many different areas of healing. So I think that the chakras are just, I don't know, I'm just a big fan. I love them. I understand them very well. They just make so much sense to my brain that I've done a lot of research on them, and I think that I have a pretty good understanding of what each of them means, the energies that they hold, and how they all flow and work together. I like to think of the chakras as a river of energy that's flowing through your body. When that river is open and flowing effortlessly, your energy is balanced, radiant, and magnetic, and you feel aligned, vibrant, and connected. So just close your eyes for a moment if you're not driving and just visualize a river flowing like from your head all the way down to your tailbone, and just like that energy is moving, it's flowing. You feel so open and abundant and everything feels good. However, if there is a blockage in that river, say a beaver builds a dam or something happens and the water can't flow, then the energy gets stuck wherever that blockage is, and that blockage can create all different kinds of issues, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, which over time can lead to disease, which the word disease is dis-ease in the body, and it can lead to chronic illnesses and things like that as well, such as cancer. Now, I am not a medical professional and I am not a doctor, but I would not be surprised if all different types of cancer had a serious correlation to trauma that people, had within their lives that was never healed or dealt with, issues that were never properly taken care of in their lives that has manifested into cancer. And I would be so curious to see the correlation. And obviously, I don't think there's been studies done between different types of cancer patients and the trauma they experienced in their lives. But I think somebody should look into that, because I think it would be very, very fascinating. And maybe one day I would do that, but we'll see. So this is why it's important to learn about the chakras, because if you have a blockage in your river and you don't know how to help it, you don't know how to get rid of it to keep that river flowing, it keeps you healthy, it fills you with energy, you feel vibrant, you feel like you can do anything you set your mind to, you feel connected to yourself, to your body, to your purpose, but also to the world, to others, to the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. So I just think like it's so important, and I hope that my love and passion for this can spread to others as well. I'm just going to go over a quick little view of all the 7 chakras that we will get into in the next week. So stay tuned. The first chakra is the root chakra, which has the theme of safety, grounding, foundation, survival, and roots. The color represented is red. So the second is the sacral chakra. This covers emotion, creativity, flow, sexuality, sensuality, and pleasure, and it's represented by the color orange. The third chakra is the solar plexus chakra, which covers confidence, willpower, identity, personal power, and your core, which is represented by the color yellow. The fourth chakra is the heart chakra, which governs love, compassion, forgiveness, and connection, and it's represented by the color green. The fifth chakra is the throat chakra. It governs expression, voice, speaking your truth, and communication, and it is represented by the color blue. The sixth chakra is the third eye chakra, which governs intuition, wisdom, inner vision, and imagination, and it's represented by the color indigo. The last chakra is the crown chakra, and it governs spiritual connection, downloads, consciousness, and divine energy, and it is represented by the color violet. I've also seen it be called white, because it's like, I believe, like the pureness, the connection to the divine. However, I always use violet just because it makes the rainbow. In most chakra things that you see, it will be violet, but my little niece has this book about the chakras and it was white, and I was like, that's interesting. But it was the cutest little book ever, and I'm a big fan. I hope I can find one like that for my kids one day. So when these chakras are aligned, just like we talked about the river, the energy flows seamlessly through from the root chakra all the way to the crown chakra. But there's common themes between these chakras, so it's split into upper and lower chakras. Our lower chakras, the root, sacral, and solar plexus, have to do with physical, emotional, and human experience. And then our upper chakras, which is heart, throat, third eye, and crown, have to do more with spiritual, intuitive, and higher consciousness. So it's kind of like if we can heal the lower chakras and to have flow to there, then we get to have these higher experiences during our human experiences. Allows us to be more in tune with our spirituality, our intuition, the universe, higher consciousness, all those things. But the heart chakra is really special because it's actually the bridge between these two realms. The love, heart chakra is all about love, and love is truly the answer to all things, and love can really connect us from the physical human experience to the spiritual human experience, and with all things like forgiveness and compassion and all that good stuff as well. So I just think that's really interesting about how they all work together and flow kind of from the bottom all the way up to the top. And you'll see this more too as we dive into each one individually. But like the root chakra is all about physical needs, security, stability, and it's, like our roots of where we come from. But all that stuff even if you think about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs that they talk about in psychology, it's like the very bottom rung is like just to make sure that we have enough food. Because if you don't know where you're going to eat your next meal, you're not busy thinking about what you're going to create and, these spiritual experiences. And you probably don't have a very open third eye if, all your energy is going into what you are where you're going to find your next meal. So it's just interesting because it does show up in different forms of learning as well, that there is kind of this hierarchy or like pattern of flow for our energy and our needs. Yeah, okay, so that is just an overview of the chakras, where they come from, what they are. So if you are listening to this series, thank you for being here. I'm excited to share all this with you, and I hope it brings some health and love and balance to your life. I am going to also release the root chakra at the same time as this episode so you can get started, and I'll remind you throughout. If somebody comes in at, say, the heart chakra, I'll say if you want to go back and first listen to this introduction and then dive into the chakras. But if you just feel called to listen to a certain one you're curious about, but I think there's so much wisdom in each of these, so I'm excited to get into these with you while I am, and I go to do ayahuasca in 2 days from when I'm recording this. But I'm so excited. So hopefully next week I can put some words together to share with you guys about my experience of that as well, because I love to be open and share all these crazy things that I do with you guys, because I appreciate that each and every one of you continues to show up and listen, and I love you all so much. So thank you for being here. I love you, and I'll see you next week. Bye.